Yeah, so happy to have Billy Raffoul. Man, I appreciate you taking the time. How have things been?
It's been great, man. Thank you so much for having me. It's been busy, but it's been really good. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Now, so I guess the easiest way to start, like obviously music kind of runs through your family. So I'm just curious, what music was like on in your household when you were a kid, and did coming from a musical family, did that make you want to pursue music in your own right?
Yeah. I mean, not at first. I think I was around it so much that I kind of like went away from it, at a young age. I was more into sports and other things and eventually found it, as a young teenager, kind of fell back into it. Pretty heavy. But yeah, there's music on in the house constantly between my dad kind of performing and playing and writing around the house and then my mom had such a it has such a like a vast taste in music, so there's like I kind of think of certain records that were on nonstop. I mean the entire Beatles discography first and foremost, but like specific albums growing up, I remember my mom being like really into Damien Rice and Coldplay and U2 and Joni Mitchell and I know that's all over the place, but then my dad kind of more of the 60s stuff and into like soul and Otis Redding. It was a lot.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think I could resonate with that. Like my dad was a huge Beatles fan as well. A lot of Beatles growing up, and it's funny, like we mixed it with like 90s country music. And then, my grandmother would be playing she was the biggest Elvis fan I think I've ever met. So, I was all over the place as well, and
Yeah,
it's
it's
kind
good
of
balance. Yeah.
yeah. Um, so it's funny because nowadays it feels like genres are like melded together in such a way that it's hard to like push people into one or the other. I guess
Totally.
kind of in terms of artists that have influenced your sound, so to speak, who are like the main artists that you think you've kind of pulled from over the years?
I mean, it's funny because I think often what happens when you're influenced by something, you don't end up sounding anything like it. Sometimes people can't
Right.
find the influence in it, right? But you think you're making this kind of record because of what you've grown up listening to or loving. When really it just maybe it informs the way you've done something, but not
Yeah.
necessarily what it ends up sounding like, I guess.
Yeah.
I was especially when I'm doing more of the acoustic stuff, like or the stripped down um, productions, or just even the live recordings. Certain albums have been extremely influential, like Nebraska, like Springsteen's Nebraska, that informed like a whole 2 albums worth of music for me, um, as well as like the early Bob Dylan records, which I know is probably a common
Yeah.
inspiration for most people. But yeah, like when it came to like how certain albums I've made were recorded, like International Hotel and Olympus, were pretty well live recordings and just more about mic placement. Those are some big influences like Nebraska, like Freewheelin' and yeah, I don't know. And then there's the other end of it too. I think like I just put out a new song last week called Canadian that's a full band sound and a going from more like a wall of sound, and that was
Yeah.
heavily influenced by again a different Springsteen era, but still Bruce and also Neil Young, heavy influence from Neil Young and Crazy
Gotcha.
Horse as well.
Gotcha. So, like, in terms of genre, do you think like the way it's melded together nowadays is good for music, or is it maybe? Um, I personally think is good for music, but I feel like some people kind of still want these genres, these like hard line distinctions to exist.
I mean, for me personally, I think it's really good. Like I
Okay.
think from the beginning of me putting out music and writing and making music, I've been pretty confusing to the people who listen to me. To some extent anyway. I think the first 3 songs I released, one was a rock song, like, with fuzz guitars and drums and bass. And the next song was a completely live acoustic recording. And then the third song was a EDM collaboration with Avicii,
Hmm.
and then one with Kygo. Like I was all over the map in the first 4 or 5 songs. So um, I wouldn't have known. I remember there was an article that came out after I put out my fourth song that was like, I don't know what box this fits into, but
Right.
here it is. That's why I just always called it singer songwriter because I am singing and writing songs. But yeah, the fact that genre is becoming less and less of a construct is definitely, I think, a good thing.
Yeah. What now you talked about when you were like writing music. So when you start making, a song, are you more focused on the lyrics or are you like a melody focused in when you start?
I don't do it one way or the other, like on purpose, or have like a rule for it. I think that sometimes I can think of certain songs that started definitely with a concept, others that started with a melody, some that started on the guitar. Like, um, I have no structure. Um, there might have been like a through line on some of the records where I'm like, okay, I want to write every album this way for this
Yeah.
project specifically. And again, like International Hotel, I reference again, was one that was started conceptually first. I think like these are things I want to write about. These are songs that I want to be part of this.
Yeah.
So it didn't that one didn't start with any melody.
So I am kind of curious, like going back to, you mentioned like writing or being on songs with like Avicii and Kygo. I went through, it's still to a point I go through like a very like EDM heavy phase at times in my life. What was that experience like? Just, kind of making music very much out of even what you do now, right? It was like completely different.
Um, yeah, it was like everything kind of felt like fly by the seat of my pants kind of thing. Like I was
Mhm.
just starting. I had been signed to a record label for a couple years prior to that, and I had been thrown into so many different rooms with different people. I had up until that point, up until 2015, only written on my own, and I was writing, with artists and writers who normally write in different genres and for different pitches and stuff like that. And so everything felt foreign. So like going into a room with Avicii with Tim was like another unorthodox day for me. Like it was a little bit I was kind of used to being uncomfortable, and it ended up being the most amazing experience. Like it was such
Yeah.
a gift that I was able to even just be in the room, and then getting to work with him. He was incredibly talented and like just throwing ideas off of each other. And there was also Hillary Lindsey and Nathan Chapman in the room who are like two of the best. So it was like it was a surreal experience overall. Like
Yeah.
I haven't felt anything like quite like that since.
You have a new album coming out in July. Is it self-titled? Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes, July
Okay. So
18th.
you've released a few songs off of that, and I'm just curious, like on the backstory of the album, the inspiration behind the album, and kind of the direction maybe you're heading with it.
Yeah, this one started conceptually first before anything. I think in 2023, I got to go over to South Africa for the first time and play some shows over there where I had known I had listeners thanks to Spotify and Apple Music, just being able to geographically see where the streams are coming from. And I got to go over there, and um, the songs that resonated with people like on the other side of the world that I had never got to tour before, but like going and playing some of these songs across my catalog that people were singing back to me was pretty crazy. And there was like a certain batch of songs that like the through line, I think, through all of them was that they were like simpler, more stripped down recordings, right? Not nothing with the bigger production, and it was just mainly just me and the guitar and maybe some like bass, some like 808s and stuff like that. And I was like, oh wow, okay, I need to. And it's not that the other songs weren't, as fun to play live over there. It was just that there was a certain group of these songs that I'm like, these songs have also, allowed me to play in like Germany and different parts of the world. These they have been able to transcend borders and kind of go everywhere. And I'm like, I need a full set worth of these songs, not just a few high points in the set. So that was the goal when I came back. I'm like, I want to go back to these songs that have been able to do this for me, and I want to write 10 of them, or I want to write 12 of them. And I
Yeah.
really sat down and I'm like looking at both the concepts of the songs and then also how sparse they are recorded. That's why there's kind of a theme throughout the record. Like if you, the majority of them are love songs, and then they are also very sparse in their production, and they revolve around the acoustic guitar. Um, so it's not an entirely acoustic record. I would be comfortable calling it an acoustic record because every song started just kind of actually in this room um, with I have it right here with this guitar, and I wrote them all right here, and I'm in a kind of in a closet right now. But yeah, all 11 songs are from this. the space right here, and they're kind of time capsule in the sense that they're all from January, February 2024.
Amazing. Yeah, I think so. I listened through the batch that you kind of have out already, and I think my favorite song, far and away, is "How About a Drink." And it, like you kind of said, it's very stripped back. It's very soft. It's very loving. Can you just talk maybe more about that song and just kind of the story behind that, if there is one?
Yeah, I was like right in the thick of writing. I started January 1, 2024. I'm like, I'm gonna write this entire record in this room by myself, and I wrote every single day. Uh, I think I ended up with 40 songs in the 2 months. And somewhere in the middle there, I had that idea of like, I don't know, I kind of got bored with it, and it came off as a country concept to me, to be honest. And my brother is in Nashville, and I was like, I sent it to him as a joke kind of thing, and I had like more of a country twang on it, but I sent him the riff
Yeah.
and I'd sang like yeah, I'd sang it a little bit. I was trying to be funny about it, I guess. And then he said, "No, no, no, stop messing with that. You need to like do it for real." And it ended up being the only co-write on the record was me and my brother. He went back and forth with me on it, and
Yeah.
we finished it, and it turned out to be less of a joke and more of a real song. And that's kind of how it started. It started with just the chorus lyric, came naturally, like in one pass. I think I have the recording of it somewhere. The mic was live, and kind of sang the whole chorus, and then as a joke, and then sent it, and then here we are.
So this is gonna be your fourth studio album. What over this process of making four albums, what has changed for you in like how you go about it, if anything? And obviously your sound has changed from when you first started making music, but maybe over the past couple, how has it changed?
Yeah, I think this is kind of like a combination of a couple of the records, really, because it's conceptually and how it's made more like the smaller, I don't even want to say smaller budget, but like the more like bedroom sounding records like International Hotel and Olympus, which is the only one that's not really a studio record, made like those just in a in a proper studio
Right.
out in Los Angeles, and with the super talented Davis Nash, and we kind of created this very organic space where we could operate quickly and get through songs as we were feeling inspired by them. Um, yeah, and it really is just recorded with an acoustic guitar and vocal and organic sounds around the room, just in a really uh, well mic'd up space. Really.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean I feel like more and more these days artists are kind of leaning towards that, or at least in this kind of like singer-songwriter, folk space, like everybody's aiming for that like one take sound and just a room with a band, and seems to be resonating with a lot of people. I mean, I know it does with me, so I think we could all appreciate that.
Yeah, we tried to capture that, and then when we went to maybe some uh, you know different places for percussion and the rhythm section um, on some of them, adding stomps and claps, and it just sounds around the room, really.
Yeah. Yeah, so being an artist nowadays, right, is like this you're the jack of all trades, so to speak. And I guess, my space, and I operate mainly in social media at this point. Like how in terms for you in social media, how do you find a good balance between connecting with people but still kind of maintaining your sanity and not getting lost in the sauce, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, that's the hardest thing for me to get a handle on, and it's still such a work in progress, and I definitely don't feel it at all as if I've cracked the code on that.
Yeah.
It's really hard, man. Like I'll be honest with you. Every day I feel like I'm not doing enough on that, on this, like,
Right. Yeah.
even when like January and February last year, I was like, I'm writing a song a day, and I'm not saying these songs are great, but I'm like, I'm finishing a song a day almost, song every 2 days, and that feels like what I'm supposed to be doing. Meanwhile, it's like I could have spent those 40 days writing one song and 39 trying to promote it on this, and I
Right.
that's just not,
It
it's
is.
not
Yeah,
click
I hear you.
hasn't clicked yet for me. I don't know how much to let in, let people into. I haven't really. I feel honestly as though I haven't found my groove. The most natural I feel um, is when I'm touring and playing shows. I'm like in a in a new place, and or a place I've been before, but I'm revisiting, and I'm
Yeah.
saying, "Hey, this is what's going on today. Playing tonight. See you at the show." That feels
Right.
organic to me, and
Yeah.
I'm really trying to step outside my
Yeah.
comfort zone
I
beyond
mean,
that.
even as somebody who's like been in it for a minute and like, this was never my intentions to kind of do this as like a job by any stretch of the imagination. I don't think it ever gets easier. You still like I still go through questioning myself like regularly. It's
Yeah,
not natural. It doesn't feel natural at times. And especially like I don't know, maybe you struggle with this. I feel like I ask every artist this, and I know because I know I struggle with it is like kind of celebrating success, so to speak. Like I've like had these cool achievements doing this, but I feel like every time I reach that, I'm like, oh, okay. Like I look further down the road instead of kind of looking back and seeing where I've come.
yeah.
And it never lets me like celebrate the successes properly, I feel.
I can relate for sure. It's always what's next, right? How do you move
Yeah.
further down the road?
Yeah. Do you feel like you feel like as an artist that there's enough resources out there for people to kind of take care of their mental space?
Um, I think there could always be more. I think there can always be more. I think that something we talk about too, like um with Network, my record label right now, I can speak about it. They have a fund or a resource for artists who need to speak to somebody or whatever their form of therapy is, which is something that's newer to me. Um, that well, I mean, I've been doing this at least in the major label system for about 12 years, and I think that 10, 12 years, and I think that it's something that's being talked about more, and I feel like there could be more spaces like that where because it is a very like it's definitely a heady job. Like you spend
Right.
most of your time upstairs, like just thinking about and especially when you're on like a um, you know under a microphone under a microscope, and constantly feel like you need to be putting yourself out there.
Yeah. And I think people sometimes don't understand maybe like the rigors of a tour, right? And like the mental stress that puts on you on a day in and day out basis, couple, a different city feels like every night, maybe with a day break in between there. I can only imagine what kind of stress that puts on you.
Yeah,
Do
you
you
don't
do you
surround
find
yourself with people that you really can spend, you know, hours on end in a vehicle with. My brother and I just finished the first week I was solo doing the East Coast states, but the last 3 weeks we were together. Ended up we drove 20. I just took the car back. We drove 20,000 kilometers in uh, in 4 weeks. 23 or 24
yeah.
shows. Uh, Pretty rigorous.
Yeah, like that's insane. Do you find there to be like big differences between maybe touring in the States versus maybe like I'm not sure kind of your extended touring in Europe. Is there a big difference?
It's been honestly, they've. I think right when I started going over to Germany and Europe, I was blown away because I felt like the energy and the crowds and the appreciation for music was on another level beyond North America. Um, as of late, I think the more I get back and forth and have been able to in post COVID, get back to the States and across the country a bunch. I feel like it's getting to a place where it's closer to par. This last tour I was just on, um, the reaction and the people showing up was incredible and reminded me kind of that of being over in Europe. I've toured more in Germany, I think, than anywhere else
Okay.
in the world, and it's an insane fan base. It's some of my favorite places to play are in Germany.
Yeah. So I guess maybe you have a spot. What's been your favorite spot to play? Maybe wherever. It doesn't have to be Germany or just in general.
I mean, well, I can say this because I'm going over there in like 4 weeks. But at the end of 2023, I played a series of shows in South Africa and culminating in Cape Town. And it was in the rain, and it was like people still showing up, in raincoats and with umbrellas and stuff, and singing all the songs. It was surreal. That has been one of my favorite experiences so far. Was in
Yeah.
Cape Town, and I have a sold out show there in like a month, and then
Amazing.
we just announced the second show, so hopefully that one fills up as well.
That's amazing. So I guess in terms of, your songs, your catalog, what song are you, it doesn't have to be the most popular. What song are you most proud of that's kind of out there? You put it out and you're just, man, you can't be more proud of it.
For the longest time, that used to be a song called Easy Tiger, for me because, and it still is. That's one of the most proud I am because it's like something I went against, kind of what everyone was telling me to do um, at the time, and funded the song myself, and just recorded in my bedroom with my friend Alex. We just put it together in an afternoon, and it's reached so many people, and it happened so organically. So that has been a long time one of the most proud moments for me. But recently, Homebody, which is the first single off of this upcoming record. I'm really happy with how that one has you know, been out in the world and been responded to because it started right in this room, like I said, and I was very intentional with it. Like from concept to lyric um, to melody and how it all, even how it was recorded with Davis. Like I could see my the people listening to my music really resonating with the song if they like
Yeah.
A, B, and C, and to see it be in like the top, 4 or 5 songs of mine for my entire catalog, as far as people listening now, that's been really fulfilling and makes me feel like I'm on the right track, or it makes me feel like I'm at least in tune with what uh, the people who are listening to my music want to hear.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, that's 100 like that, it's especially for you've been putting out music for so long, like, for something so new to be resonating like that, yeah, you really got your finger on the pulse of, everybody who listens. Um, so I make, like, a bunch of a living out of doing music curation.
Yep.
Give me a couple artists or albums that you've just been, like, obsessed with recently, you can't get enough of.
Okay. I've been plugging this band since I think I've heard the first single, but Wonder Horse is
Mm.
one of my. I don't know
Yeah,
if
I
you're.
love Wonder Horse. Yeah,
Yeah, they've come through Toronto twice, which is where I'm at right now. One time around the corner from here, a few months back, and I got to see them. I'm a massive fan. So their new record,
okay.
Midas, has been on. Um, has been on loop. I love the new MJ Lenderman record as well.
Mm. Yeah,
Um, I heard beautiful song the other day by a label mate of mine. Someone else is uh, on my label. Emily James, a song called "Song for Brian." And this isn't an album,
okay,
but it kind of stopped me in my tracks. It was like it's gorgeous melody, lyric,
yeah.
and her voice is outstanding. So that's another one.
Amazing. So I guess kind of like to wrap up, let's talk about what you have coming up. You obviously have the album, but what else is on the horizon here for you?
Um, yeah, the album's coming in July, self-titled. I just released a new song, Canadian, which is not on that album. It's more of a rocker, and it's part of something else that I want to allude to, but not talk about exactly.
Right.
So that there's something else on the horizon as well. And then I have a full U.S. fall tour coming up in October, November that we are
Nice.
adding dates to, and then the South African tour. So I hope to be on the road a good chunk the rest of the year and a ton of new music.
Amazing. Man, again, thank you for taking the time. I know it's a little early in the morning here, but appreciate you taking the time to talk to me and yeah, can't wait to hear the new stuff.
Thanks so much, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you.